Once a god fell from heaven, stilling the Hebrew winds. The heavens grew lifeless just as the air below thinned. With a world in upheaval, we pledged to help the Lord. A line of ships soaring, built as a passage skyward. The god ascended to heaven, leaving behind an ark. Its winds brought us new life, thanks to its great divine spark. Rito legend passed down from generation to generation tells of a flying ship left behind by a god that once saved the Rito from a blizzard similar to the one that they face now. This is what you will learn with your first steps into Rito Village from 3 children singing with high hopes that the legendary Stormwind Ark will save them from the harsh blizzard that engulfs their little town and most of the Heber region. This is a great example of how Rito Village and the Wind Temple is a perfect example of environmental storytelling, and how even small details can go so far to make an experience truly worth remembering. Exploring further into the village for some much needed rest, you might notice that there are almost no adults in the village. Children are trying their best to keep things running as smoothly as they can, and later you'll find that all of the adults in the village have left to try and find food in these harsh conditions to keep the village from starvation. This is a very neat detail, and one that certainly was not required of them to make. However, it goes a long way to show just how desperate the Rito are getting, willing to essentially abandon their shops and leave their children all day with no guarantee of coming back. Moving forward in the quest line, you will eventually meet a young Rito named Tulin, who will be your partner for the ascent into the swirling darkness that would eventually cause the Rito's icy demise.
It is you! Link!
And here lies one of the best sections in the entirety of Tears of the Kingdom. The trek up to the Wind Temple, and the temple itself had me fully enveloped in the world around me. Honestly, one of the greatest set pieces in the Zelda universe, in my opinion, and this is in large part due to the presentation and scale of the area. As you traverse up the barely recognizable path to the Eye of the Storm, the gentle droning of the music is broken by chilling staccatos, giving a feeling of loneliness with a hint of serenity that can only be found in such loneliness, perfectly accenting the world around you, as enemies will be fairly sparse throughout your long trip into the clouds. As you traverse further into the sky than you have ever been, the air grows even colder, gnawing at your bones and spelling certain death for those unprepared. The length of the journey plays a huge part in the immersion of this area. The long path and lonely atmosphere limits your vision, depriving you of the sense of wonder that you may have felt on the way here, cleansing your mind as you ascend and allowing you to focus on the objective at hand in its entirety, setting up one of the greatest moments in the entire game. You're getting close to your destination and the source of the blizzard. As you look up, you see a fleet of ships surrounding a swirling storm. One final challenge before you reach your destination. Continuing on, you skillfully jump from ship to ship, the frigid wind fighting you all along the way. As the once lonely music swells with anticipation, you reach the final platform. Jumping on the ship and up above the storm, everything falls silent. And this right here is one of my favorite moments in the entire game. In a game filled with other incredible moments, this one I think is probably my favorite. The Stormwind Ark itself is very good atmospherically, the warm interiors offering a refuge from the bitter cold outside. But the temple is admittedly kind of lackluster when compared to Zelda games that put a little more emphasis on the temples. Though, for Tears of the Kingdom, I'd say this temple's actually one of my favorite ones. Eventually, you'll be able to open up the center and confront the scourge of the Wind Temple, Kolgera. Looking on the massive form of Kolgera, you take to the violent skies above the Stormwind Ark, skillfully dodging projectiles and tornadoes while firing volley after volley of arrows to break the giant creature's resolve. In this moment, you can feel something similar to what it would be like to be a Rito, soaring freely among the clouds, and as boss gimmicks go, I think that makes this one of the more memorable ones. I genuinely felt like a badass dodging attacks from this menacing beast while a storm rages all around us. Eventually, with one final arrow, the beast is defeated, and the skies of Hebra are clear once again. In my opinion, the experience in the Hebra region all the way through the Wind Temple it's simply incredible. Even the boss shows clear direction and mastery in presentation. I can really feel that this whole story arc was expertly crafted and wonderfully presented. From the intentional absence of music to convey a sense of serenity, to the very angles in which we perceive the world and the ascent into the Wind Temple. There's just something about that moment, jumping above the storm and seeing a peaceful landscape and then dropping into the eye of a storm, and it's one of my favorite moments in video game history. Thank you everyone for watching all the way to the end. It has helped me out an awful lot. Thank you to my Twitch supporters, channel members, and patrons for supporting me in all the work that I do. If you don't want to support monetarily, totally get it. A like will do just fine and may even help me out a little bit more with the YouTube algorithm than you might think. Anyway, subscribe for more. I'm Newbornkilik, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.